Welcome into All Things.
We are excited for another episode today of All Things. We have guests once again that we're so thankful to have here.
Welcome to the Hurst family.
Thank you very much.
We are thrilled y'all are with us in Camden. We've got a big weekend ahead. We've got a volunteer banquet tonight, services tomorrow, and they're in for the weekend to minister to our church, to our team, and we're looking forward to it. And
Absolutely.
recruited them to get on a podcast as well.
It's cool.
So welcome to the pod. Let's go ahead and tell them what our episode is about today, and then I have a little trivia game for you guys and the listeners. So like on our last episode, the listeners were competing with Michael for the lyrics. They're going to be competing with you guys for this trivia.
All right.
Cool.
Today is all things marketplace and ministry. We're talking about serving, working in the church, but also having a full-time job, being bi-vocational, something we've all done, I think, in this room. So it can be done, and but maybe some strategies, tips to help you.
Yes,
because
find a balance.
It is certainly a balancing act doing all of that. So.
Absolutely. Okay, so here comes the trivia. Do you guys want the multiple choice or no?
I want multiple choice.
Y'all are not that confident.
Not either.
Okay, I think that. Okay.
Did y'all hear how bad I was last week at the song lyrics?
We didn't get a chance to hear it
Okay,
yet.
good. That's okay. Don't.
Yeah.
Ask him.
I thought he did great.
The non-multiple choice.
I got
take multiple
excited.
choice.
Everyone, he got it right. Okay. How many times per day does the average American open their fridge? Is it 5, 22, or 33?
I'm going 33.
I'm going with 22.
The only one left's 5.
It is more than 5. It is 33.
33 times. Is that every American?
It says the average American.
So if you've got two people in your house, that's 66 door
Yeah.
openings.
That's
We have
good
6
doors.
people in our house.
Oh,
That's a lot.
Why we can't keep a refrigerator.
I can't count
I
that
think
high.
I definitely open mine 33 times. When you're cooking, Okay. Next question. What color is an airplane's famous black box? Is it red, orange, or black?
Orange.
Good job.
that was good. You stole my answer. That's
Why
what
do
I
we
was gonna
call
say.
a black box
Orange.
and it's
orange?
orange?
Yeah.
So they can find it.
Why don't we
why-
call it the orange box?
That's a good
I
question.
bet if it was black, though, it wouldn't be a trivia question. So the next one, I've never had this dish, but some of you may have. What is Bombay duck's main ingredient?
Duck.
Do you want the choices? It's fish, duck, or chicken.
I'm going to go with chicken.
I'm going to go fish.
And it's Bombay duck.
Yeah,
I'm going with duck.
it's fish. All right. On a boat, what is the opposite of port? Is it bow, starboard, or deck?
Starboard.
Good job.
Oh, good job.
Good job, Jennifer. Okay, I have to do these next 2 questions because I referenced the song on our last episode. In what language is the phrase Hakuna Matata?
Oh.
Is it Dutch, Swahili, or Yoruba?
Swahili.
Good job.
Excellent.
And I'm not giving you the multiple choice for this one because you got that one so fast. What does Hakuna Matata mean?
Don't worry, be happy.
I was going to say no worries or
No
something.
worries, yeah.
No worries. Good.
Matata.
Okay, just a couple more. These are years. What year was the iPhone first released? Do you want multiple choice?
Yes.
2007.
How did you know that? Good job. I didn't have to say the choices. All
We
right.
only have smart people on the podcast.
That's right.
Genius.
Geniuses.
Addicted to their iPhones.
Did you get one in 07?
No, I didn't, but I
We
was
didn't either.
working for an IT company then.
Oh, you had inside info. Okay, which video game console, first released in 06, was the first to use motion controls during gameplay? Choices are Sega Mega Drive, Nintendo Wii, or PlayStation.
I'm going to say we.
Wii. Yeah, Nintendo Wii. Okay, just a couple more. When was eBay founded? 1990, 1995, or 2001?
90.
95.
95.
Hey, earlier in our marriage when we had a Wii, did you accidentally throw one of the remotes
No,
to the
that
TV?
was Max.
That was one of our kids.
Yeah.
I was just making
Oh,
sure.
man. He had a black eye for days.
They were
Oh, my goodness.
playing the boxing game, I think. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. This one is just for fun. How many times has the Mona Lisa been stolen? 1, 5, or 8? The look on Ladd's face right now is great.
Well, I mean, I think it's still there. I'm going to have to say it has to be more than one. I don't know. I'm
I'll
going to
go
say
with
5.
5. Yeah, that's what I would say.
The other choices are 1 or 8.
Yes,
1.
it's 1. One time it's
Wow.
been stolen. I guess it's been recovered once also.
I was going to say, is it with the people who stole it?
It may not be the original. It may be a copy.
That's
we might need to
true.
go
True.
verify.
How many
would we
Mona
know?
Lisas are there?
Yeah.
So now you guys know how smart Ladd and Jennifer are. Would you guys tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are the Hursts?
Well, we live in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and have for many decades. We grew up there. We were high school sweethearts.
That's awesome.
And first date was at a pastor's dinner at our church. I was 14 and she was 15. We've been together ever since.
What a
That's
great
awesome.
first date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What all has that led to?
It's led to a lot of laughs, a lot of fun, 2 kids, ministry,
Yeah.
and a lot of trouble.
28 years, almost 29 years of marriage.
Wonderful.
With a
Wow.
26-year-old girl and a 21-year-old son. So
And we love Hensley and
Hayden.
hated.
Any interesting things about the Hurst that the listeners might not know other than professional pickleballers?
Well, not
No.
really professional. We're more like amateur pickleball
Semi.
players.
And we pick on people that are
Kids
unable
who
to
are
play.
playing pickleball so we can win. But I do play tennis for the USTA League in Fort Smith. Play on 2 different teams, an 18 and over and a 40 and over. And
that's like more ministry and marketplace kind of.
yes,
Absolutely.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
She's been to state tournament
That's so cool.
and did well there. My name is Ladd, and it really is Ladd. It's not short for anything. That's the first question people say. What's Ladd short for? And I was named after a doctor that my mother worked for.
Nice.
And that's even harder to explain.
To explain, yeah, absolutely.
I had a guy come to me from that pastors in Arkansas, and he said, "I met a doctor the other day that says you were named after him."
Oh, wow.
I
So
said, "That
this
is
doctor's still like
absolutely true."
practicing.
Yes, he is. He is in
Okay.
Jonesboro. He sure is.
Nice.
So the school you guys went to there in Fort Smith was Northside Christian Academy. Is that
Correct.
right?
Christian
And
Academy.
they played a Christian school here in Camden
Yeah.
and Magnolia
Yeah.
as well. So Columbia Christian and I don't remember the school here in Camden's name, but it's not here anymore, I don't think. But
So y'all made a few
that's-
South
that's neat.
Arkansas
Yeah.
South Arkansas trips back in the day.
We did. I remember one trip, the guys got in trouble. It was snowing outside, and they pulled the bus over, and your dad made everybody do push-ups.
In the snow.
In the snow.
In the snow.
Couldn't do that
Nice.
now.
Yeah. So how long have you guys pastored there in Fort Smith? The name of your church?
We pastored the sanctuary of Fort Smith. We've been there 15 years. We'll be 16 coming up just here pretty quick.
Wow.
And
Milestone.
that's been an enjoyable
Awesome.
journey.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
And you mentioned a moment ago back in 2007 you were doing IT. So education background, careers you've held through your marriage and through your ministry.
I attended University of Arkansas Fort Smith, which was West Stark Community College then. And I've also graduated from Purpose Institute program, and that changed my life. And I know that may be strange to think, but that program changed my life.
That's a testimony
It
there.
gave me an interest in the Word, and it taught me how to decipher the Word. And so that's my education background.
That's
And I
great.
worked in IT for 15 years, and then the Lord delivered me from that.
Yeah.
In 2016, I've been doing this full time since then.
Wonderful.
Nice.
And I actually, I attended the University of Arkansas Fort Smith, but ended up getting my business administration degree from Arkansas State University out of Jonesboro. Started kind of off in my career in the financial world ended up in banking for a while. And then in 2008, when the mortgage market kind of took a dive, it was very stressful times, had the opportunity to switch over to healthcare recruiting. And so I've now been doing healthcare recruiting for 15 years. I recruit speech, physical, and occupational therapists to work with the geriatric population. So
Yes, you helped my sister get her first
this is true.
speech job. I remember that.
Yeah.
So before we discuss any challenges of bivocational ministry, I'm going to get started on our interview today. Tell us about some blessings and benefits of being a couple who was also in the ministry and also in the marketplace.
I want to say that, I mean, it is a blessing in that we're not just, financially dependent upon the church, and the church doesn't have to necessarily take on the complete financial responsibility of it. But there have been so many blessings with being able to connect with people in our community. We have been able to counsel families through difficult situations, maybe through deaths and, just life.
Yeah.
And being able to teach Bible studies. We have an entire family that comes to our church that I worked with.
Wow.
And I think they've been a part of our church for probably 13 or 14 years now.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So almost since you've got started.
Right. Just
so
shortly
cool.
after, about 2 years after.
So it's kind of like a little special avenue that you have
Right.
It's super cool.
that you wouldn't have otherwise.
There were some Bible studies. We connected with my boss, and it turns out most of his family came to our church, attended for quite some time. Some are still connected. But even the people that aren't a part of our church, it's just been amazing to see how God connects you to people in the
Connection, yeah.
marketplace.
Absolutely.
And years later, they're still calling you their pastor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That is
awesome.
great.
So do you have some kingdom moment stories? You just kind of referenced a couple, but is there any that stand out that have happened as a result of being in the marketplace? And I guess I want to say this for our listeners. When we say marketplace, we're talking about being out working a job,
Yeah.
doing something in the market of your community.
Right.
We had so much stuff happen, and I know I'll probably jump ahead of myself a little bit here, but and you guys, everybody who's bivocational or in the marketplace, and you're pastoring or in ministry, it is a synergy that just one feeds the other. You become very productive. God amplifies your efforts, and we had some stuff happen with people where we're hurting at the church financially, and people on the marketplace were just walking up, handing me checks, paying me their tithes. Never been to our church, and still call me their pastor to this day.
Look at the
And
Lord.
Look at God.
And then there was some connection. It's so funny. This question is very cool because there was a lady that I worked with, and she was a contractor there, and in IT. And I told Jennifer several weeks ago. This was just been in the last month or so. I said, I feel like I need to go to the laundromat. So I found some laundry, took it to the laundromat. I hadn't been there 3 minutes, and that lady walked in, and before it's over with, I was ministering to her, praying over her family.
Oh, that's
and
wonderful.
she said
I love it.
specifically, this is a God moment. So those connections, the fruit that's born from that is long lasting. And, anyway, I love those kind of kingdom moments that minister.
So now every weekend, does your wife just send the laundry with you to the laundromat? I mean,
I was a little bit hesitant about him doing that with our
doing
laundry,
what?
actually. I was like, what?
So my shirt, there was an oil in one of the washing machines. I'm not sure who used that before I got there, but I have a shirt that I smelt that smell the other day again. And I was like, oh, that washer got me again.
So I think you've already kind of referenced it, but it's here in our interview questions. So I want to give you another chance to say, if you have anything, how has being bivocational blessed your church specifically, Sanctuary Church specifically?
Well, like he referenced the financial blessings for one, but I think it helps us in ministry with our church. being in the marketplace, you tend to have training. You tend to be held accountable for your time.
So true.
And you're also exposed to new innovations, new technology, maybe smarter ways to do things.
And you're being paid for it.
Yes, absolutely. And you don't have to pay for that training to get that. So I feel like that's helped us to manage our time wisely, to hone in our skills, to be able to use that for, kingdom creativity, so to speak. And then we've been blessed with a lot of leaders in our church who are also in the same position as us. And so they understand that we value their time.
Yeah.
When we're asking for hours outside of a 40-hour work week, we try to keep things in mind with their family time or holidays, anything like that. A lot of times people view the marketplace as the dugout where we are just awaiting our turn at bat in ministry because our soul longs to be doing ministry. If we're in tune with the Spirit, we have that desire in our hearts. And then we look at the church as the real playing field.
Yeah.
But rather the opposite is true. We should view the church and our services on Sunday, our meetings together with the body of Christ, as the dugout where we have our team meeting, we receive instructions, but the real game is played in the marketplace.
Played in the marketplace.
I love that. That's such
Excellent.
a great answer.
Another thing that's blessed our church is all of those leaders that are in the marketplace and they have jobs. They bring their experience to us.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're reaping right now some very high capacity leaders, or from them, new processes, new systems. Jennifer and I are not even involved in those. They're completely hands-free of us.
Such a blessing.
So the marketplace, that ministry, what they learn there, they're bringing it to the church. Not just she and I, but our leaders are doing that.
Oh, that's so good.
And I think we've all seen the advancements of technology, but even within the church through systems, things we've been putting in place. And so many of our workplaces are trying to be more efficient systems. And so it just correlates and helps. So many of our people, work out in the industrial project, and it's all about efficiencies. And so they bring that to the church.
It's really good.
And they want that here. So the trainings, everything in the bi-vocational world has certainly paid dividends. So we've talked about the blessings, and we could go on and on about the many blessings of being in the marketplace and doing ministry in the church. But we also know there's time constraints. And so I want to talk about any drawbacks from having essentially two jobs. You work I don't think a 9 to 5 anymore is the way a workplace goes, but a 9 to 5, but then you also work Wednesday nights, Sundays, prayer meetings, off nights, hospital visits. What are the drawbacks of having two jobs? I know it's not a negative, but we do want to at least highlight, hey, there are some restrictions here.
Oh, it's the struggle of always trying to find time, because it's not just job ministry, it's job ministry, family, extended family, friends, school events. There's no end to what
Trying to fit a hobby in
trying
somewhere.
to fit a hobby in, which those are out the window at this point, but they'll be back. I remember one time I left work. I didn't know. I knew this was a pretty prominent individual that I had to go minister at a funeral for, and his mother went to our church, but I didn't know the level of it. I left work. I went to the funeral, where the venue where the funeral was, and there was 600 people there, and I preached a funeral message and ministered there. This was several years ago, and literally 45 minutes after the funeral's over, I'm back at my desk.
Wow.
And I was just sat there thinking,
What a day.
Thank God for his mercy, for his grace that empowers me to switch just that fast. So while that's a drawback, it's also a testimony that we serve one God, whether we're in the marketplace or whether we're at church or whether we're at a funeral service.
So true.
And anyway,
So this came to me when we asked this question. This is really relevant to like a lot of support staff in churches too. Do you have anything, maybe some encouragement for them? Like, we know there are going to be some hard days and some long days. So, but not, this is not just for pastoral ministry. This is for all people who minister in churches.
He always has a statement that the redeeming the time, and I feel like you could probably explain that better than I, but I think that would be meaningful to anyone.
Well, redeeming the time because the days are evil. That word evil doesn't mean evil as in the character of the day is evil. It means evil in that there is labor to be done. It's tedious. Mm-hmm. There are pitfalls, which would indicate we could fall into evil. But there's a whole nother word. I'm no scholar, but this is what the scholars say. There's a whole nother word for the word evil that means like Satan is evil. He's literally trying to destroy us. But I'm just believe that God helps us redeem time. Mm-hmm. And I used a phrase one time, and it's been used, but redeeming the time is time to the power of God. And I absolutely 100% believe if people give themselves to the ministry of God, and God will reward them with time on their job, time off on their job, mm-hmm. promotions on their job, and still give them time for their family. It's the same principle as tithing in our finances.
Yes.
It's the same principle of giving above and beyond our tithes. God multiplies. And I have just seen it over and over, even in our leaders. And so support staff, they have to be there to run the sound for a funeral in the middle of the afternoon. Yeah. They've got to be there to cook a dinner, and they got to get mm-hmm. back to work. And God is going to reward them for that. As a matter of fact, he's going to reward them in the same way that they are blessing other people. It will return to them.
So good. Yeah, and I agree with that.
He literally redeems the time. I understand that's an effort from our part, mm-hmm. but I love that. He buys it back for us.
That's awesome.
So you guys have two wonderful kids, and we've talked about, drawbacks from the workplace and pastoring full-time, 2 jobs. How did that, ever impact your family, raising your kids? Were there struggles? How did you navigate the balance of work life, church life, and family life?
Balance is a big buzzword.
Balance is huge.
Yes. Well, when I talked about getting out of banking, there was also another motivation for that, which was I was exposed to an opportunity to work remotely from home back before remote mm-hmm. work was not even a thing. And I took a big pay cut to do that, to train, to learn that particular business setting and gain those skills. But I did that so I could be the one that picked up my kids from school every day. And because it was remote, it was important to me to spend summers at Camp Redfield mm-hmm. with my children. And so I made a choice to be able to do that, to give them those opportunities in the summer. I will say there have been times where we've had to make difficult choices. Do we choose to go mm-hmm. to a conference that would refresh us spiritually, or do we save that time off with family?
Vacation,
yeah. So if it came down to choosing a vacation with our kids or a conference, the vacation with our kids always won.
And your priorities are correct.
Right. So I always say I invest in memories with my children because the returns are exponential. Mm-hmm. If I put off going on a vacation this year, I've just, I only have 80 probably summers myself, but you only have 18 summers mm-hmm. with your kids, or 18 spring breaks with each one. And so, there were times that it was a hard choice.
Sure.
But I've never regretted making that choice.
We did an all things camp last summer, right before camp season got kicked off. And I'll tell the podcast listeners, I've always called Jennifer the queen of Redfield. Like, if you think of Redfield, like, she's not far down the list. Like, she's always there.
It's our summer home.
She's such a hard worker there. like, I don't know what they would do without her.
I still work my job while I'm there,
While you're
8
at
to
campground.
5.
Yeah.
And sometimes even longer than that. And then volunteer in the evenings and just try to fit it all in.
And she's blessed because of it.
Yeah.
So I have a funny story real quick. The, you know how your phone will kind of like program it. It's like, it'll tell you to go home or to go to work or something. It thinks I work at Camp Redfield.
I love
So
that.
does mine.
Yeah, it says in the mornings it's like work, and then it's like an hour and something away, and I recognize the address, and I was like, it thinks I work at Redfield.
Michael, I know we need to move quickly, but let me just say, this has kind of become a mantra of mine, and the Lord put this in my spirit, and I know exactly when He did it, but it changed me. And He said to me, lad, you can go to bed. You'll never go to bed having done everything you could do. But there's never a day that I will put so much on you that you can't go to bed having done everything I want you to do.
I want you to do.
And when I heard that, I was sitting at my desk at work because I was mourning the loss of some time that I thought I was going to have with my son. And man, when God told me that, I got such a peace.
Yeah.
And He's opened doors. I remember some things that happened in that season of our life where God just made time for me.
That's so good.
To be with Hayden and Hensley. It was a different season when she was pretty young, but so I've just always remembered that, and I teach that to our people. Don't be frustrated.
Yeah.
God, you're going to get everything God wants you to do. You're going to get it done.
Right.
But don't be afraid to give that time. Don't be stingy with your time to ministry because you're afraid you're going to miss out on that with your kids. You know, do give when you can.
That's so good.
And I wanted to say, I'm sitting here listening to you guys, and I know my wife thinks the world of Hensley, and she's done so well, and living her best life, has a ministry heart. Your son is at Bible college right now at Hurst, and so I really feel somebody out there listening, maybe even us over here on this side of the room with younger kids coming up, like, are we hurting them by doing this, by working these two jobs, or, are we being pulled too many different directions? And I think you guys have said it so well that as long as you place priority on your kids, they're gonna turn out just fine. And I can appreciate that. I can find a little bit of hope in that today.
Yeah, so true.
I appreciate your words and what all you've said.
I like what you said about He amplifies your strength. There is a supernatural help that I feel on some days when I feel like we've got a lot going today. This is a busy day. This is a big day. We've got a lot of irons and a lot of different hats to wear. I'll feel just a peace come over me, and then just like a little bit of a lifting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any of big challenges that you faced as a bivocational ministry couple that you look back on and you're like, you know what, it was only the Lord that helped us make it through that? Is there something that sticks out that you're like, you know what, I want to share this with somebody, with a listener?
I think burnout can be an unintended consequence of trying to do ministry with your whole heart and trying to be the best employee for, whoever you work for. I think it's super important for us not to compare our specific seasons with other seasons in their ministry. There's so many good things that social media has done for us, but the downfall is that we can default to comparison when we see someone else in a ministry at a different church and what they're doing and what we're not doing. And God has given us specifically a certain bandwidth. He's given us certain gifts.
Right.
It's important for us to listen to what He's asking us to do. And if you're connecting with God on a daily basis, if you're partnering with God to accomplish His agenda that has eternal impacts, He is going to put an energy and a desire in your heart to do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So don't look at what somebody else is doing and feel, oh, goodness, I missed the boat because we didn't do that. And then if you try to do things that other people are doing that God has not asked you to do, you will experience burnout, especially if you're not staying connected
Yeah.
on a daily basis. Knowing what you're gifted to do is important, but also knowing where you do not have strengths and not trying to do something that is not a gifting is also very important to avoid that burnout. Because we can be fulfilled and satisfied in our callings when we are who God called us to be.
So true. Little transparency here. I've experienced that. It's not really FOMO, but I guess I can kind of relate it to it, that I'll see people at a conference during the week when I'm at work.
Yes.
And like, oh man, I can't just go there.
That is one of the downsides. That's one of my biggest, probably things that makes me vulnerable and raw at times is when other people are, or maybe it's when we're at camp and everybody has a chance to go eat lunch and I need to go back to do a conference call or have a meeting. Right. It does make you feel like you drew the short end of the stick, but that's not true.
That's so true. Yeah.
So here in a minute, Lad, I'm going to let you wrap us all up, but I want to come back to your wife real quick and burnout. You feel that coming on. I would say everyone in this room, you've kind of felt you're tired, you're weary, you feel maybe even that word burned out a little bit. What do you do? How do you take a step back? Any suggestions for somebody that may be worn down, feeling burnout? Anything to help somebody out there listening to from either of you that maybe say, hey, you can do this, you can reconnect, recharge. How do you recharge? Any suggestions, tips there?
For me, it's having a Sabbath, which typically has to happen on a Saturday because I work Monday through Friday unless I take a day of PTO. I need a day to recharge physically and do nothing. It's a designated do nothing day, but it's also a day where I meet with the Lord and I don't have any time constraints. I need an unlimited time with the Lord. And for me, that looks like taking my Bible and my journal and going outside with a cup of coffee and I write and I read and I pray and then I write and I read and I pray some more. But when I have that unlimited time, there is a new energy that comes within me. And also, I think you have to set yourself up for wins. We tell our church leadership, our staff, if it's not an easy win, there's nothing wrong with striving to be excellent and stretching ourselves. But sometimes we set ourselves up for failure because we're doing something that we don't have the bandwidth, we don't have the facilities, we don't have the budgets, whatever it is. It's important to set yourself up for things that can be won easily. But
it's excellent. Sabbath, such a big deal. To take a break.
Use wisdom in setting your schedule. Yeah, I like that.
Pastor Ladd, final thoughts, wrap us up. Anything we haven't talked about that we need to, or?
Well, I think it's important to remember we're all in the season. And most of the time we don't know what season we're in until we're in the next season. And sometimes we don't know the seasons have changed until we're a couple of years down the road and we think, oh my goodness, I'm in a whole new season.
Yeah.
And we recognize God's plan was there the whole time. If you take a snapshot or put a camera on a piece of ground, just a piece of grass in your yard, throughout the year, that grass is going to be brown. It's going to be green. It's going to be white with snow. It's going to have standing water in it. It's going to be covered in leaves. There's going to be bugs crawling through it. That is just I'm talking about no trees, just the grass in that picture, not counting the flowers and all that would also show up there, weeds.
Right.
But in that, we are in a season. And if I remember the frustration of sitting in the most tedious moment I've ever faced in ministry, and a police officer had killed a young man in our church. And it was justified. And this was the former pastor's son. It was a tragic event. And I remember the frustration of trying to balance that terrifying moment with also being normal at work, acting great with my children, and trying to perform in meetings with vice presidents. And it was just a terrifying moment. But it wasn't long after that I realized that season was over in my life. And so I'm just here to tell you, God is going, just like there are 4 seasons, he is going to progress his purpose in our lives. And I would not take back the most exciting moments in ministry happened when we were both working our fingers to the bone in that job. I would not take it back. I thank God for that season of growth that happened in our life. I thought it was a season of misery.
Yeah.
But God was growing us. It was so powerful.
I do want to add something to that with that tragic situation that he mentioned. It just dawned on me while he was talking about it. That very weekend after the funeral, we were able to take our kids away on a little getaway, and it was during December, to go look at Christmas lights and do all the Christmas things. And we had such a wonderful time with our kids after that moment. But it was in the same week.
Yeah.
But we took time out for them to focus on them after that. And maybe it was, a rebalancing act.
Yeah.
But God helped us. Again, that's such a wonderful example of God coming in and helping us with that.
Amen.
So true. I have loved your responses to every single question today. It's been so good. This has been a great episode.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
thank y'all again for being here.
Thankful you guys have been with us for
been an
all
honor.
things.
Marketplace and ministry.
And all things must come to an end.
And we'll see you guys on the next time.
See you later.